That's
Hey,
the
hey, hey.
that's of the five kind. Of the third kind. What is it? There was a movie back in the day, the Aliens movie. It's about like visitors from, and they had this. You don't remember that tune?
I do recognize it. It's Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I
Yes,
believe.
that's what that was. That's what I was whistling. It
Yeah.
came to
We
be.
missed the first few notes.
Oh,
Uh there we go. All right. So, um we'll get to that story because it's a very important story. It's the more important story. But um for starters, some of the big news that broke today was the collapse of Kakhovka of the Kakhovka Dam in Ukraine.
yeah.
And it seems as though initially um, it was speculated that, and I think that Ukraine had said that this was by Russia's doing. Um,
But they have been
honest,
doing tests. But they have been talking about it, about how it would really help it would hurt Russia a lot more, and how they were considering it, and they sent some test fire missiles to kind of see. This was a
like
bit
Russia
ago. I
did.
heard this on Ben. Yeah, I heard this from Ben Shapiro show. I don't remember the exact details because I was busy doing some things, but he said that they were actually screwing around with it in some way, previous to this. And so
Mm,
the speculation is that they did just pull the trigger and decide to just do it and then try to blame it on Russia, because they're all, like you were saying earlier to me, false flags are just like the way of the day. That's
yeah,
just the way you do it these days. If you're not false flagging, you're not doing it right.
yeah. I mean, I probably got maybe 3 minutes into thinking about it with like it being Russia and me kind of like reading up on it. And I was like, okay, so a lot of this water, I mean, it's kind of goes towards, um, Ukraine or Russia controlled Crimea, and
It's the
it
bay.
also goes
It's what they
to
use. Yeah.
other Ukraine things as well. So it's kind of almost like it
Well, it
affects
generates
both.
power and stuff for Ukraine, and it's useful for Ukraine in that way. But the dammed up
Yeah,
area is what Russia occupies. So they figured it would just, or I mean, the place that's dammed up. Yes, that's dammed against. So if they flood it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess Russia was like working on filling it more
Hmm.
is something else that I heard. They were like, yeah, it's higher. They've been having more water there. Um, and I mean, I got a few minutes in, and I was like, it really just does. I don't. I'm having a hard time believing that this is a a Russian strike.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's probably
and
Ukrainian,
yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at
because
least
I think it's
tentatively.
almost fully confirmed that Ukraine is probably responsible for the pipeline also. So it would fit with that. So I mean, it's not.
Well, probably Ukraine, U.S. Was
Yeah.
involved with the pipeline. Because man, when you hear Biden and he's talking about like that pipeline, it's not going to be useful, and we'll make sure of that. It's like,
Yeah.
and then lo and behold, it gets blown up, and they're like, oh, we don't know who did it. It's kind of like, really.
Yeah,
And I like,
he said a sus line. I don't remember what the line was exactly, but
yeah, but it was, I mean, it was pretty clear that like he was not going to allow it to be beneficial for Russia.
it's so
And
funny that
there's
they
so
let
many
him
things
build it
that
in the
just don't
first
make
place.
sense.
It's so fun. It's so funny they let him build it in the first place, in which it's been blocked on purpose for the longest time, for this specific reason,
Yeah.
because Russia wants to realize its former glory with some of his Russian speaking territories. And so
Yeah.
it's funny how that's why we are trying to stop them from doing it. As soon as we say, no, go ahead, you can have it, no problem. Well, lo and behold, Russia goes and does what we think they're going to do in the first place, and the reason why we did build in the first place. So and that's why our biggest obstacle in that was not everyone else; it was Germany, because I think they wanted it because they could get fuel delivered efficiently and cheaper. from
Yeah,
Russia.
it was more for, and it was, the interesting thing is that Trump was like, "Hey, Germany, you might want to become more self-sufficient on your energy,
Yep.
because you never know what's going to happen, and if you don't start taking action now, you're gonna end up sorry, like because if I'm not around, basically what he's saying is if I'm not around to kind of enable you guys to like to keep the peace,
Yeah.
like things can go south real fast for you guys. You might want to you might want to consider um, alternative sources. And they were like, whatever, we're not going to pay any attention to you. And then, bam, this happens. It's like
Yep.
it's
It,
so dumb.
it seems like the winter, they didn't die in the winter. Like at first, we were thinking, oh my gosh, Germany's going to freeze in the winter, and there. So I don't know how that managed. If that was just hyperbolic speech in the first place. But when this was all going down for the first several months of it, they're like, okay, if this continues, we're not gonna have any power for the winter, and we're all gonna die. There's gonna be millions of deaths, so we need to end this quick. We need to just give in, or there are all sorts of different
Here's an
approaches.
excuse for us to
Yeah.
to do more. And they just do more and more and more, and they just keep on. All they're really doing is just kind of pushing the line, pushing the line, pushing the line, just inching it along. Um,
Like China's running real close with ships, running like when we're kind of patrolling the Taiwan area, and
yeah,
China is pushing out in international waters, and they're pushing up. They're riding right next, doing like near misses almost, just saying like, hey, we're here.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and we got
It's
the weakness in office. We have weak Joe Biden and weak let's all get along type of policies, thinking that our niceness or our just our say so and just to get our goodwill, you will listen to us, or else you won't have our goodwill anymore. That's like they're threatening. Like what?
it's the worst
They don't
bargaining
care
chip
about the
ever.
they don't care about the goodwill. It's like
Yeah,
right now, as Elon Musk says, we're like conjoined twins with our finances, where it's gonna kill both of us if we quit. So they don't need, like, our connection with China. They don't need us to like it. It just
yeah,
is.
yeah.
So
And we are, and if we don't become more self-sustainable, then
yeah.
we're basically in effect controlled by them.
So that's the only good part about, like, the fact that I'm invested in Tesla. So they have this IRA, this investment, the basically they're giving subsidies to electric vehicles and things like that, but they're doing it in such a way that you only get credit for it if the manufacturing is not done in China. If it's sourced either from America or put together in America or whatever else. And so because they're trying to separate from China some. That's the good thing about it. I don't like the fact that
Mhm.
we're subsidizing, electric cars. I mean, I'm benefiting from it because I'll be a Tesla stock owner, but um yeah, so that's the one. If there's one good thing that's happened indirectly, accidentally, is that they have done that to encourage more domestic producing of things.
Yeah,
So I'm saying it's not 100% horrible that they're trying to make us produce things elsewhere, or get supplies from somewhere other than China.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We
Joe
definitely need
Biden
to be
sucks.
more self-sustainable. But another thing, kind of somewhere along these lines, is there's another news story about there's what is it there's like a document that a whistleblower has talked about, who has said, yeah, there is a document that the FBI has that a few members of Congress have even seen now, where they're talking about these deals that Biden has been making, the kind of like the pay to play kind of a
Yep.
situation. And it's pretty, I would like to see it. I would like to see what it is that they're talking about, because like if it's not in my face, if I can't see it, um,
It's
I don't
probably a
know.
classified document that we can't see, and so
It's
you're not
not
going to
it's
rely
not
on
even
it.
classified
Oh, okay.
is the thing. Like it's not even classified, but they're like now the FBI is like, well, we don't want to.
Oh, you're talking about the one the FBI director won't release. It's not classified. Okay, so it's the
Yeah,
FBI. Yes, it has to do with the whistleblower situation against the Bidens.
yeah,
And yeah, I did hear about this story. I didn't know what story you're talking about at first. Um, there is the FBI director doesn't want to release it, and he's being subpoenaed and not subpoenaed. No, he's being they're charging him with contempt of court, or they're doing contempt of court hearings or something like that. Whatever the
yeah. Contempt of
vernacular is for it.
Congress or whatever.
Yeah, contempt of something. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, basically, people protecting, the executive branch is posting up and protecting protecting this president when they wouldn't protect the last president. They were
yeah,
actively against him.
yeah.
So
They were. I
it's
mean,
kind
they
of
were all over
funny.
the news. Oh,
Yeah,
he's not. Oh, what is he? What is he trying to hide? What is he trying to hide? Blah 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 blah.
this is another thing just showing that they all got to go away. All these staters got to go away because it's evidently it's. I mean,
Yeah,
they're not unbiased. They're not just doing the due diligence and like just doing the real work and hard work, and we're just here doing nonpartisan stuff and whatever. They are a political arm currently,
yep.
and so there are
It's
probably
establishment.
there are probably plenty of thousands of agents that are just fine, but there is a political hierarchy that is in place
Yep.
that is directing power politically, and that's not okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy that like, I mean, you don't hear reporters asking about any of this stuff.
Reporters don't
And
exist anymore.
I know. Well, I mean, even the fake ones aren't asking about it, which only just goes to show more how deep the establishment really goes.
The lowest lanes of the world and the dream, the illusion of reporting is just about getting the truth out there and finding, feet on the ground and doing whatever else. That is a complete farce now. It's like
Yep.
that's not even the case. First off, you don't even investigate something if it doesn't fit into a narrative comfortably, or something that you can't explain away easily enough. Um, so what happens is some stories get feet, get legs, and those are the ones that fit in with the narrative. The ones that don't get legs, oh, those are just local news stories. So they get classified easily. It's like, oh, this is a national news story, and that's a local news story, and they classify it in that way such that you can just explain it away. Oh, why are you covering all that? Well, this is a national news story, and that is a local news story. So of course we're not going to cover that. It's like it's
Yeah.
only national because you made it national.
Yeah.
But they're not going to say that. Ah, reporters. It's just so
It's
dumb they call it reporters. That's why you have to go to what is that place where all these writers, all these people are going? Um, I can't remember what it's called because I don't use it because I'm driving around. I don't read things. Um, Greenwald and all the people they're using a certain space.
Substack.
Substack. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't sit there and read news stories all day, so I don't
Well, you
use
have to
it.
pay for it, and I'm like,
Do you?
I
It
think
might
so.
it might be worth it if I read. I mostly listen
Yeah.
and think, and I drive around in the truck, so I don't spend a lot of time eyes on the page, and so that's not as worth it to me.
Yeah. I mean,
If I were someone like you, I would consider it if it's cheap, but
honestly, I don't read so much of these
oh, okay.
articles and stuff like that. But it's like, when I see some of these journalists and they're on like Twitter and stuff, and it's like, dude, they've got like millions of followers, right? And I'm kind of like, and then they put out there's a Michael Schellenberger, and he puts out it's like $9 a month in order to be able to read these
Yeah.
paywall tweets that he puts out, and I'm kind of just like, no way, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you're one person, right? Like $9 for you. Well,
Yeah.
but I also want Glenn Greenwald. I also want Matt Taibbi. I also want Aaron Matei. And it's like if all of these guys are charging like $5, $8, $9,
You can't.
$6,
Yeah, you can't.
it's like, dude, you're breaking my bank. Like, I'd love to support you, but I feel like honestly, I feel like, look,
They
put
need
it
to
at
get
$1.
together. They need to get the gang together, and so that they have like 6 of them that are just saying, "Hey, we provide this content. This is our little Twitter group, like almost like a group tweet type thing, and then you can
Yeah,
be part of it if you know." But
I
like,
think I think they should just go at a like put their price point at $1.
yeah,
And that way I can be like, hey, you know what? $10 a month. I'll put $10 a month into the reporters and the people that I believe are doing good work,
yeah, that's good.
and eat $10, and that goes across 10 people. And it's like, to me, I feel like that's acceptable, especially when we're looking at a time of like we're dealing in inflation. Um, gas prices are through the roof.
Do you have to be a Twitter subscriber in order to subscribe to these
I
individual
don't think
venues?
so. But I
Okay,
mean, that's another point, is
that is
like
another thing.
it's
If you
like
have to also do that,
11,
so
$12 or whatever.
I think it's 8. I think it's 8.
I mean, when I go on, it says like,
So
11.99 or whatever.
yeah, so if you sign up for a year, it's like 8, I think.
Okay. Otherwise it's like,
Otherwise,
yeah,
it's
11,
whatever per month
$12
is
a
higher,
month.
right?
Yeah.
So, I could see at one point paying it. It be
I'd pay, yeah, $8 a month plus 10, so like $18 a month for Twitter
yeah,
Blue, and to subscribe to all these like 10 to
yeah.
10 to 10 people. Like, I'd be happy to do that, but I'm not gonna give
You're not gonna do
anybody any
$150
money.
in order to, yeah, in
Yeah,
order
I'm
to,
not gonna
right.
just, yeah, because
That's
I
ridiculous.
don't want to support. I don't. I want to support their content, and I want to support their message, but I'm not going to support it at my expense.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're asking for a lot of money. And he made Michael Schellenberg. He made a tweet. Somebody was like, $9. That's a lot, and he was like, it's not a lot for the price of freedom. Freedom ain't free. It's not much for the price of freedom.
Is it just his tweets, or does he have special articles, or does he have like
They're
video
just their
content?
tweets. They're tweets that I guess are special articles. But like, I look at it and I'm kind of just like, dude, this is for like, these are for like wealthy people. These are for like, and it's like, look, the way I look at it
So
is, if this stuff is important, I'm gonna end up hearing about it anyways.
yeah.
So
So,
just put it
and
behind a
people will
dollar
just screen
paywall.
cap. People just screen cap it if it's important. Oh, he wrote this, and they just screen cap and then they post it.
I mean, I don't know that people really do that so much, because they're probably like, well, I paid for this, so I don't want to give it out for free. And there's, probably
Oh
some kind of
no.
like,
Okay, so you don't know the whole BitTorrent scene? Oh no.
I guess probably over there, there's probably, if you go to another website, but it's not
No,
like you're on
what I mean
Twitter and there's other
is
people that are
I know
mimicking
the
it.
mentality. I know the mentality of um like I came from the time through the era of when MP3s were the big thing, where everyone
Oh
is
yeah,
trading and getting MP3s as much as possible, and all people were doing is taking their CDs and they're ripping out
burning
the
them.
computer and turning it, and then they're sharing it. So I'm
Yep.
saying, like, people aren't really concerned with like, oh, I paid for this, so I'm just gonna hold on to this. No, a lot of people, there are a lot of people with the mindset of like, yeah, I paid for this because I want this, but it should be free anyways, and so therefore I'm just going to distribute it freely. So a lot of people have that mindset.
Yeah. I mean, I just view it as, you know, um, what I haven't seen is yesterday's news. Like, if you put this tweet up and I don't pay for it, and I don't see it, and
Yeah,
then
it
two
didn't
days
happen.
go by, it's yesterday's news.
It didn't
I don't
happen.
care. It had no impact, apparently. Whatever it is that you had to say had no impact, and it might have had a bigger impact
So,
if you charged $1 and then it got more exposure. Look at what
so
happened with
if it's
with
more
the
news,
look at what happened with the what is a woman thing. It got
yeah,
like 173 million views because they put it up for free. Now, what's more important, having 173 million people watch it, or people paying the $10 a month, or whatever it is to be a daily
yeah.
a daily
So
wire user?
I do think that
That exposure is
right.
worth
I
a
do think this
ton.
video is too important to be behind the paywall, but at the same time, I'm not going to fault them for it. It's just like I wish it were.
No, I don't. I'm just making the point
I think
that,
this has
like,
been a really good. This has obviously turned out really well.
yeah,
And did you end up watching the whole thing, or you just kind
yeah,
of zone out on
yeah.
it?
I got to the point where the dad was he called his daughter she, and then they threw him in jail.
Yeah.
And I was just like, at that point, like right around there, and then the trans man guy, he like was showing his
Yep. Showing his
arm,
arm where they
and it
peel
was
the
all
skin
like
off.
scarred. Yeah, they
Yeah.
peeled off his arm, and I was just like, after a few of those little tiny like portions of the segment, I was just like, man, this is brutal. Like, I need to take a break because I'm just getting really upset. Um, and then when I kind of came back and finished it off, I was like, okay, it kind of lightens up a bit.
But it does a great job. And in fact, he's not like the Matt Walsh you have on his show. He is deadpan,
Yeah,
asking questions, letting them hang themselves.
he's
Just
not really rude.
no, he's not.
He's not an asshole about
He's
it.
not at all. He did a really good job,
Yeah.
and it's just and they show their true colors. All these different people, and a lot of people, a lot of the regular everyday like Democrat type people don't realize that this is a real thing. They just think, oh, whatever,
Yeah.
or like you just like there's some people they think that the fight is against KKK type of people.
Yeah.
They imagine the fight is against the real haters, the real bad people.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that there's also a South Park clip that shows where
Mr.
the whole
Garrison.
episode, Mr. Garrison, Mr. Slave at the front, right?
Yeah.
Where the idea is that he was doing gay stuff up front of his classroom on purpose to try to get fired, but the kids would tell their parents and they say like, hey, you need to be more sensitive to whatever else. And so they didn't understand the level of gayness that was being displayed openly in front of the kids at school.
Yeah.
And so, but everyone was just saying, hey, you guys need to go to sensitivity training in class and all that kind of stuff. And then when they finally saw what was going on, like, a gerbil up his butt and things, whatever else, the parents were like, basically in their mind, we take, what? Basically, they take it all back. They take it all back. I shouldn't have said any of that sensitivity crap. It's kind of the feel of it. So,
Yeah.
but that is the disillusion that people have. And so this What Is a Woman flick is showing what's really out there, so that
Yeah.
hopefully people can be like,
These are professionals.
no, that's not okay.
Yeah. These are professionals. These are people in their professional field. You've got pediatrics, you've got college professors, you've got psychiatrists, and it's or therapists, and it's like, oh my god, these people are absolutely insane. And it's all this affirming, the way that it's like, okay, we're here to affirm whatever issue it is that you have. We're here to allow you to convince yourself that this is a problem for you, and then we'll deliver you a solution.
In the 90s,
it's wild.
In the 90s, the arguments used to be, hey, we want gays to just have the same rights that you and I do, to be able to get married and share a will and to have all these different rights, all the kind of
Go to
stuff.
the hospital,
And
things
that's
like that.
and what they're doing is they're playing on our compassion and a human nature to be like, you know what, that sounds reasonable, even though it's not. Even though I think it should be classified separately. I want people to have all the same things. Just like for a while here, we had like everything but marriage, basically, where they have all the exact same things, we just call something different. But now there's such a hatred towards the idea of what is tradition, even what is like all these values that we have. Why are those values good? Why can't these values be good? They're changing. So like they even think that marriage doesn't mean monogamy. Marriage means not. It's nothing. It means marriage means nothing. You can just go ahead and have sex with whoever you want. It's so because like a majority of do I want to say majority? I'll say many gay relationships are shared amongst other
Non-monogamous.
people. Right.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know I don't know what the stats are for gay people in marriages. Like, I don't
Now it's
know.
probably a lot more other marriages too, by the way, unfortunately, where they're
Yeah, I
sharing, where
mean,
they're having.
I don't think that the
Right.
collapse of the seriousness of marriage started with gay marriage. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think it's all
I strongly
completely separate.
disagree. I strongly
I
disagree.
I don't I think that the divorce rates and all that stuff, that we had so many other social problems, social issues, just in the culture that was developing that had nothing to do with gay people, that just reduced the levels of value in relationships. Like
Sure.
when we got Tinder, I think Tinder was probably one of the big things that was just like, hey, I could get with anybody. You know,
Yep.
there's a Rick and Morty episode where like there's this app developer. I don't know. Do you ever watch Rick and Morty?
I know enough about it.
So there's this alien guy or whatever, that Rick has that he goes around and just does like little tasks for him, but he's always trying to build an app. And then Jerry's like, he's like, oh, you want to build an app? Oh, well, what's the idea? And he's like, it's just a blah 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 where you can match people. That's it. And so he's like, all right, let's make the app. So they make the app, and then everybody's just bouncing around. They're like, oh, it's a new match. This is who you're meant to be with. Oh, and while you're in the middle of that date, oh, I'm supposed to be with this person. I'm supposed to be with this person. And it's basically kind of like a play on Tinder.
Right.
And
Play
it's
on
like I
Tinder
think that
because
that's the
now
kind of thing
you must
that
be with
like,
everybody.
Instagram, like when you have Instagram, when you have, I mean, you just look at the hoe culture that
Yeah.
is absolutely blowing up.
It is
Um,
ridiculous. The 20-year-olds, the 18, 19, 22-year-olds are they're hooking up with 45-year-old dudes all the time on these
yep,
sites. It's crazy. It's you think it's just like, oh, they're bots and things like that, but there are real scenarios from real people that I know that it for sure happens.
yeah,
So it's
it's
crazy
and so
that they're like that now. They don't
I
even
think
care.
it's that's the kind of thing that was far more destructive to marriage, as opposed to, because I mean, there's like girls are. I mean, I mean, OnlyFans, like you see all this stuff where it's like
Everyone's got one, unfortunately.
this narrative that like, oh, you know what, you guys shouldn't care about how many guys I've slept with, you know. And it's like they have no shame in it. They actually put value in how many people that they slept with. And it's kind of like, I don't understand why you find value in that. I don't understand, because the reason, and it's almost like they're trying to compare themselves to men, and they're trying to be like men. But it's like, dude, a guy's gonna fuck anything. He's gonna bang anybody, anything that moves. Hey, you like me? All right, like let's go, sure. But if you can just like, any girl, like, oh, you could just hook up with any girl. It's like it used to be like a difficult thing, and it probably still more or less is a difficult thing to sleep with a girl. But when you have so many out there that are just hoes, and they're just like, hey, I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
500 bodies.
There might be just 20% of them that are doing the work for the rest. They're just
Yeah,
servicing the entire planet.
I mean, I'll
Um,
tell you what, at 18, I was like, this would have been a
that would have been
dream come true.
amazing, right?
Yeah, I don't
Obviously,
have to do anything. Like, for real, like I can just bang,
all I
like
have to
let's
do is
go.
make this person laugh for 1 second, and then they come over.
And that's it, and it's like, hey, I got what I needed. And there's no commitment that they have to
It's
make.
so dumb.
And it's just, oh, this was just a fling, this, it didn't mean anything. Like it used to be, in when I was, 18 and slowly growing up, like when you get in a relationship with somebody, like when you hook up with somebody, even like there's the
Then you're
potential that
dating
there's
now,
something that,
right?
yeah, you're dating now.
And now
um
it's like, hey, don't go crazy now. That was just sex. Like,
yeah,
like what?
Yeah, and I mean, the guys, they might be hurt by it. It's the good guys are probably going to be hurt by that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, so this wasn't a serious thing. This was just this was just for your
And the
satisfaction.
girls will be left empty and used and ran through in
Yeah,
400 guys later. I mean, they may
yeah,
have to prop themselves up with these certain ideas, but they're definitely going to feel used and it's
worn
not going to sit
out.
well with their soul.
They're going to be worn out, and it's
Yeah.
like, when
I'm not even talking about their physical condition afterwards. I just mean like mentally, I don't think they're prepared for what it's going to do to them when they're older.
no, I don't
Like,
think that they have any clue, because
yeah.
I don't think they understand the consequences of it, because when you do that, and if a guy even has the inkling, like, dude, she's slept with like 50 guys. Like, just even 50 to me is like, jeez,
That is
that's
like
crazy.
by the time you're 19, some people have that number beat.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, so who am I then? Like, a guy's just going to be like, well, who am I? Who am I to you?
Yeah, so it's like, so you
I don't know
can't
how.
take, yeah, right. So
I got
you
to
can't take
stack up
someone seriously.
somewhere.
Now,
You know?
even if you're like, hey, you know what? I won't date you. I would have sex with you, but I wouldn't date you. Like, they might even be there, right?
Yeah.
But they're not going to date them, not because they can, not because they get it for free, but because of what you said, because they don't
They're
value
not going to take them
themselves. Why should you
seriously.
value them? So they portray
Yeah.
themselves with no value. So why would you value something they don't even value themselves? It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
It's
dumb.
I think so. I think that it's that kind of mentality. And see, right,
So when it
already,
goes to the gay thing, when it connects to the
right.
gay thing, yes, it's not like gayness ends marriage. No, I'm
Okay,
saying
make
it's
the
about,
case then.
it was a
Make the
part of
case.
the is part of the corrupting of what are the norms and what are the standards and what is okay, and that's redefined the standards of the world. It
Well,
was
what
part
is
of
a
that
marriage though?
process of everything you're talking about. It was part of the process. The whole gay marriage thing. It wasn't because I would be totally fine with this with the civil, or like, people if they're trying to live a normal, a
Civil
traditionally
unions,
normal
right?
type of life, do whatever you want to do. But when it starts to get important where they're doing simulated sex in the streets on these parades, and they're wearing assless chaps and whipping each other on these parades right now, like,
It's
this is
absurd.
ridiculous. This is not what we're
Yeah.
talking about. This is
Well,
not
that's
this is
I
not
don't
being
think that's
accepting.
the yeah, I don't think that has to do with marriage. But
I'm saying they push it beyond that, where it's not even about marriage now. It's like marriage doesn't matter. Marriage is so antiquated. Marriage is so yesterday. Marriage is for the people that are getting old. They're old. Like,
like, they
marriage,
have the rights, and so now they're moving on to something else.
yes,
Well,
they don't
that's
even care
because they're
about that.
progressives, right? And
Yeah,
progressives, the only way a progressive
the
can
fight never
exist.
ends. You just always progress.
Yeah, there is no end to a progressive. That's why you can be a progressive uh temporarily, I think. Is the best way to go about it. If you're going to be a progressive for like a year, and then go back, like, move somewhere else. But
Yeah.
okay, so I guess I'm not really understanding the issue with gay marriage
So what
itself.
I'm saying is that the arguments used to be for accepting gay culture in general was that, hey, they're just like you and me and they want to do this, but now they're pushing this culture, like,
But now
the
you're talking about something that doesn't have anything to do with
yeah, it's
marriage.
not okay, not directly. So it's not directly marriage, but if you're talking about the gay and queer culture, it used to be the gay and queer culture was the same. It was the same thing. It just was more. It's just more and more queer now, right? It's more and more outlandish and trying to be,
Well,
and there's more alphabet letters involved with it. But it is kind of part of. I understand you're saying the LGB was separated from the T. I understand that argument, but it's. I do feel like the agenda is just gone from that little foothold to, like, it's then to say, okay, we
like,
got in. I
I
don't
get
give a
that point.
shit about that. I care about all this other stuff, and they're just digging into everything
Right,
else.
but okay, so how does um I guess here how does gay marriage and gay people not caring about marriage anymore, how does that affect out like straight marriage? how does that devalue straight marriage?
Well,
Because we've
because
all known that gay people just they go around and they bone whoever they want
right.
anyways. And
Well, I
and
would
and
like
I
marriage
figured that it
to
was more like the gay marriage is more so that there can be a class of gay people who say, well, we don't want to behave in those kinds of ways. We want to be able to be
right.
like you guys. Like we want
You
to
are
be
correct.
normal and
That
we
was
want to fit in with
that's what
that.
that's what got us. That's what got most
But
people were
that
like, you
doesn't
know what? That sounds
I'm
reasonable.
still it doesn't track for me though. Like you're the future of your argument doesn't track anymore because now you start talking about other things. You're talking about them moving on from marriage.
Um, okay, let's say it
But
this way.
how has marriage
Let's say it
been
this way.
corrupted
I'll use
by
your
gay?
I'll use your other arguments in the previous. So let's say that the that there are the people that want to just live in the white picket house and do so within a gay lifestyle just because that's
Yeah.
how they are.
They
Let's
want to
say there
live the
are those
married
people,
life.
but the activists have moved from there to force the T and all the other IAs and all this stuff onto it. It rode the horse of like of so like
So you're saying that it is
almost
corrupt.
like the
Okay.
progressive nature of things is that like now what else can we do? Now what
Okay.
else can we do?
So let me try to I'll try to make your case, and you can tell me if this is if this is how you if you agree with it.
Okay.
If just to
Yeah.
I'll word it in my way, and you can tell me if this is it. So um the once gay marriage got accepted, um it enabled a it enabled more progressive and accepting behaviors that are more unsavory to society, and that as those unsavory behaviors have snowballed, and then we get to these points where we have people slapping each other's asses in parades, that has developed a culture in which we do not take relationships in general seriously anymore.
Sure. I guess. So I don't have a direct. I didn't make an outline of how that worked out in my mind. So that is a good way to put
Well,
it. But
I think I might have just done it right. Is that
yeah.
and I think here's what I can do. I can concede an area that is to your point, but I still don't think that like it affects. It's not like gay marriage. I don't think it's gay marriage's fault that that marriage has been degraded as much as it has, right? I
It's just
think
been
that it's
leveraged upon. I think it's just been leveraged upon.
right.
They took that nugget and they say, and they use it say, hey, well, they're people too. They're married just like whatever else, or like they're like they just try to. They're just looking to create more entitled rights to more and more groups of people, subgroups. I don't know. I just feel like
That
it's
more and more corrupt society
yes.
into behaving badly, into poor behaviors.
Yeah, because but the thing is, they don't want to call it poor behaviors. They want to say it's you choose,
Normal,
and nothing is poor behavior.
right?
Um, you do whatever you choose to do is not poor behavior. You can sit there and you can do that stuff in public, and it's just so brave, so brave.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous where it's gone to. So I don't know how we got into this subject again. It's so easy to get pushed here, but
I don't know, but it was interesting getting
yeah.
there.
But we need to talk about the most important
The
story that
most
happened today.
important the most important thing. Well, there's all this other stuff because look, we've got dams getting blown up. We've got
The culture going to
the
corruption.
culture going crazy. There's boycotts. There's because they're putting bathing suits, bathing suits in stores for little kids. There's all kinds of there's slapping slapping people's asses, naked asses, in parades in front of children and all kinds of nonsense. But that's all minor in comparison to this, right? Now there's a whistleblower that has shown up, right? This military whistleblower claims US has UFO retrieval program, right? We have an Air Force veteran, David Gruch, claims the government is covering up UFOs. Gruch claims he has seen evidence of a secret crash retrieval program. He alleges the U.S. has even retrieved bodies from other species. These are
I think
off-planet species.
They said
aliens.
There's a whole 10-minute segment on it, and where he details, like, because he's been in the Pentagon for like 30 years and doing things, and so he has all the credibilities that have been looked into, and he says this stuff, and Matt Walsh glommed onto it because he's a conspiracy theorist, because he hopes aliens exist, so he grabs on every single thing. And he dragged his whole family. He woke his kids up, say, it's time. There's something very important that you must see. And he revealed this story. And I do wish it was true, because then all this other stuff would be
we wouldn't have time to care.
We wouldn't have to deal with all this other stuff, because people would snap out of it and focus on aliens.
Yeah. So when I first heard about this story, I was excited. But okay, for me, when it was maybe like a year or some odd ago, where they released all this information about these videos of these two videos of UFOs that were going like against 110 mile an hour winds. They were going against that, and they're going super fast, like
boom,
super fast, boom. And they're tracking this thing. They're like, oh my god, I can't believe that this thing is able to move as quickly as it is, because these guys are in jets and they're booking it, and this thing's against wind is going way faster.
And it's meeting them in the rendezvous point type of thing. It's almost like it knows where they're going to be in the first place, and so so it's already there, and then they get there like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it was like absolutely crazy. And so for me, I end up going on like a 3-month binge where I'm just like, oh man, UFOs, like, let's go. I want to talk about it all the time. I want to have theorize about it. I want to watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right? That's how I know it's so fresh, right? Because I watched it relatively recently. But on this one, I don't think I have that energy, because I mean, 3 months takes a lot out of me.
Yeah.
To be excited about one thing for 3 months.
Yeah.
Sure. And to put that much passion and energy into it. On this one, it's the thing that got me. I was starting to get excited again, and it has to be pretty exciting in order for me to really want to latch onto it. But the thing that kind of shut me off on it a little bit was the claims he has seen evidence, right? Evidence of a secret crash retrieval program. And so the thing that I also kind of heard about this is that these are, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he has heard things, he has been told things from other people who are in these departments, who are closer to these kinds of things, people who have seen these things. But this is like secondhand information, and now I'm getting secondhand information. So when he goes up and he testifies about it, and he could potentially be committing perjury, I look at this and I'm kind of like, well, like, you may not be lying because this is what you heard and you're testifying about what you heard, but I would much rather it be that you say, I have seen these crafts myself.
Yeah.
I have seen these bodies myself.
So I heard him.
That's what I want.
I heard him in an interview, and they state it here more definitively than more credibly than he did. It says he alleges whatever he said up there that they found bodies. Basically, it was up there a little bit. He alleges U.S. has even
U.S. has
retrieved
even
bodies, so to
retrieved
speak.
bodies.
So
Yeah,
he was asked a question about that directly, and he says something along the lines of, "Well, I mean,
it's hard to
when you
believe.
when you have foreign bodies flying in a certain place, you're gonna find things like that."
There's
And
usually a pilot.
like what? Yeah, yeah, that's what he said. Usually a pilot. I'm like,
Yeah,
shut up,
and there
shut
was.
up. It's geez. I mean, honestly, there um with the combination of things of Elon Musk and our astronomy abilities
NASA.
to look out
They're
further,
like, we haven't seen anything
like
of this.
we've seen nothing. Elon says there's none, and I would tell you. He said I promise I would tell you. There
Yeah.
is nothing. So if there is, if there are aliens, they're not traveling here physically. They are like have technology where they're traveling in a beam of light, and they're gonna be, like they're gonna
Who
like
knows?
kind of like digital upload or something, right? Where they would just like send their because of the speed of light, so it could be like 13 seconds, and then they're over wherever else. I mean,
I'd
that's
imagine something along the lines of magnets, magnet travel. I don't know why there's not like, I mean, think about magnets, condense magnets down, man. Um, let me boom. Um, I feel like I don't know. I had an idea a long time ago, and I was like, if you can condense magnets down and you get them powerful enough and you rotate them around and they're spinning in whatever kind of way that they need to be, or they're positioned in certain ways that it just like makes something move, and then that you just exasperate that force, like you could go who knows how fast
there's a limited amount of that. Yeah, I
that
understand the
we
thought
know
behind
of.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's likely to happen is we find some way to harness, a couple trillion times more power than we could ever think of, like harnessing the power of a planet per se. If
Hmm.
we can harness the power of an entire planet, or somehow pull that energy from nothingness that we didn't know existed through some other, there's like all around us somehow, or if there's some other way of generating power. But if we generate on virtually unlimited source of power, we could do the warp bubble idea.
Hmm.
We could
Theoretically.
create the right. We have the math. We have the math that works out for it, with the stipulation that we also that we could create antimatter, that we could create the antimatter, which is theoretically possible, and that we'd have unlimited energy but they could do it by just having space change, basically, and we can just fold space and just appear. We're not traveling from here to here to here. We're traveling from here to here. Like we're not passing through these points at all, and so you're traveling the
Yeah.
same speed. Where you're so that's the thing. That's the thing with math and a lot of electricity. I mean, a lot of power that we can't generate,
Yeah.
like the power of Jupiter being destroyed or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one day, we'll get there. So this is kind of, I guess, what kind of got me kind of like, well, this isn't as great of a story as I thought. He says, I thought it was totally nuts, and I thought at first I was being deceived. It was a ruse, Grush told Cold Heart. People started to confide in me, approach me, and plenty of senior, former intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me that they were part of a program. Right? They told me based on their oral testimony, they provided me with documents, and other proof that there was in fact a program that the UAP task force was not read into. So like,
Okay,
I don't know.
here's produced documents. Then how about you show us those documents?
Let me see the stuff. Like, give me the goods.
Yeah, you
Give me
can't
the
just
goods,
say
because I'm
stuff.
not gonna get it. I'm not gonna worry about getting excited over nothing. I don't want to do that.
I'm not gonna. I think it would be awesome if we found aliens. I'd be all
Yeah,
about it. I'd be
me
all
too.
about it. Everything else, all other topics would be shelved. And like, I don't care
Oh
if
yeah,
24-hour election right now. I care about aliens.
yeah.
But
Who
it's
who
just not.
wants to make peace with the aliens? What's up? Like, That's what I'm interested in, right?
You be like trying to figure out, okay, how do we poke at the aliens so that they come back? Like not piss them off, but be like, hey, like do we send like a neutron bomb somewhere or
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Hey, make peace. Here's a bomb, you know.
but we make it in the form of like fireworks, a big smiley face, just kidding.
That would be such a bad idea. Oh my god. Um yeah, I don't know. I don't have the energy to get worked up about this one.
Yeah, I just heard Matt Walsh talk about it because he really nerded out about it, and he had his kids,
Yeah.
and he woke his kids up after their bedtime to come watch this, and their kids were just like, "What is this?" And they're young. He's
Yeah.
like, "You're witnessing he was like the moon landing." He was like trying to make it be like you're
It's
gonna
like, I'm
remember the
sorry,
day.
Matt. This is not that. This is a guy an important figure, but really, this is a guy who was told something by other people. You know, like
Exactly.
I don't know how much I would latch onto it personally. I think that if he were to come out, he should be coming out with something more solid. It's funny. I was watching the breaking points, and the guy on there, he's like,
Is
he's
Crystal
throwing
still
the
on there?
incredulous, huh?
Is Crystal still on there?
Yeah.
Because I saw a couple of episodes where it was Sagar and some other dude.
Oh,
I was like,
they
what the
they
hell
have
happened?
they have like two other people
Okay.
that they do other shows with. They've had them for a while. Um, yeah, people got mad at Crystal over her interview with RFK. Did you hear
Whatever.
about that?
I heard they got mad, but I don't know anything about the interview. I didn't watch it. But
Yeah, it was a bad interview because she's basically like accusing him of things and then saying, can you demonstrate or can you prove to me? And then when he starts to try to do it,
she's
she's like, I
shutting
don't want
down.
to hear, I don't want to hear about it right now. We don't have the time. And it's this really lame,
Yeah.
anti-journalistic pathway of conducting an interview. It felt very
It's
mainstream.
it's horrible that she would fall into that trap because considering they occupy a space that is supposed to be free from that. And so
Yeah.
that's dangerous for her. That's
And I
dangerous
think
for
I think what's like Sagar, I think that he should be stepping in. There should be more
her. Yeah.
back and forth of disagreement of between their positions, because all that I ever really see is they say something and the only thing that they ever do is they are either silent and they let them make their case, or they don't give any pushback and they find the points of
I
agreement.
I bet that that's the place they've come to where they've created this thing, yet they've probably kind of dug in their own different ways. And that's the solution they have. It's just you say your thing, I will smile. You say your thing, I will smile. We'll find some things we agree on. I bet it's worked into more of a situation like that because they have it's a place people go to be able to hear both sides, and they can't screw it up by bickering with each
Yeah,
other.
by jumping on each other's stuff.
Yeah, so they probably
It's
try to
it's
keep
just
a
kind of
healthy
like,
distance.
it's at times it's frustrating because it's kind of like, okay, I wish that there was somebody else here who is of reasonable, rational mind that can add something to this conversation to steer it so that it's not just this one way,
So
warped view.
so this is gonna sound so sexist of me, but you know how the joke is like all girls got some sort of crazy in them, but like that's not true with all girls. But I can see the little bit of crazy that's in my mind. I just feel like she's good, and but oh god, no, just don't be crazy. Just don't be crazy. Just I feel like she has a little bit crazy trying to come out. Is that crazy? I mean, you say that?
I feel like generally speaking, she can be pretty on point, and I like
Yeah,
her.
she
I
is.
like
Right,
her in a
and
lot of
I've
things.
seen that too. But it
But
feels like she just has sometimes where I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. You're reacting emotionally. Don't do that.
I think that here's what I would say. I would say that if you're gonna have her set aside this whole process of, okay, I'm gonna hear what you have to say, and then you're gonna hear what I have to say. If you're gonna set that aside and say, I'm gonna tell you what I think, and I don't want to hear from you, then I think that that barrier should go down, and
Yeah.
then Sagar should step in and say, okay, well, here I'm gonna say what she's not letting you say. I'm gonna be the one that you can
Yes.
address me, like
Exactly.
RFK, you can address me, and I'm gonna ask you the questions that she doesn't want to allow you
Yep. That should
to
happen
do.
more. Although that's going to cause them to fight afterwards. But
Well, that's fine.
yeah.
They can fight off screen. Oh, I can't believe that you undermined me. Well,
So,
you shouldn't have done what you did.
something RFK
Look
said.
at the comments.
Yeah.
Look at how people are thinking about this.
Something that RFK said in one of his interviews um,
I
is
really
that like,
like that
hey,
guy.
huh?
I really like that guy.
I I
I think he
I
does a good job.
like his. I think he's an
An
honorable
honest
type of
man.
person,
I think
but
he's an honest man.
I do think it's conspiracy. I do think it's a little bit conspiratorial because he had the thing with the autism vaccine thing. It's like a little too
I
much.
have
Too much,
see. I feel like I'm not in a position to make a judgment on that because I don't know any of the
He's
information.
kind of one of the leaders of why that was a thing for so long.
He was pro vaccine for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess he was maybe he was
Well, he's talking
anti-vaccine
about
for a
causing
while.
autism. He's talking about causing autism somehow, and he so, but like
Maybe.
in the sense that his father and his uncle were murdered, um, I don't think he has any more definitive proof than anyone else has, and yet he claims that, and he goes in deep.
Well,
Maybe
it's
it did happen.
I
Maybe it did
can't
happen,
make
but
the I can't make the case because I'm not him and I don't know as
yeah,
much as him. But what I guess I would say is that, like, what he said is that he has spent thousands of hours and looked up thousands of articles
yeah,
and read thousands of studies, and he's talked to thousands of doctors and gathered a lot of information. And what I've kind of learned relatively recently is that when we have a scientific consensus about something,
yeah. That means
it
that
doesn't
they're
mean that
keeping.
it's
Yeah,
actually true.
that's
And
absolutely
so
true.
we've had this scientific consensus that vaccines do not cause autism. But if you were to just think about it, like, who would be hurt the most by vaccines causing autism? Vaccine
Yeah,
companies,
yeah,
right? And so they're not, and who has a lot of power and influence in mainstream media and in the grand narrative?
sure.
Pharmaceutical companies do. So
So
to me, I'm not going to say that vaccines cause autism or that they lend anything to
yeah,
autism. But if RFK says, "Hey, this is it," I'm willing
right.
to hear him out. I'm willing to hear it, but I'm
And
not going to say, "Oh yeah, it is," and I'm not going to say, "Oh no, it isn't," because I
so
just don't know.
that goes back to the thing I didn't finish saying. Okay, I forgot what I was getting to. He said, "You know what? I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem talking, answering questions about whatever else. But if you and I won't
You're going to
talk
ask
about
me.
vaccinations if you don't ask me. But if you ask me, don't shut me up."
Yep.
And so that's his take on it is that you that like I'm not just looking to push the vaccine angle all the time. I know that people want to get over that, move on, whatever else. Say, but if you ask me about it, don't just ask me so that you can just like shut me down. It's so like I respect that type of strength and answer. I respect that type of thing. I don't agree in a lot of his policies, although he does seem principled in the sense that he said, "You know what, the Supreme Court decided on the Second Amendment. I don't like it, but they've decided. I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not going to fight your right to bear arms, all that kind of
I'm
stuff."
not going to take away your guns.
Right,
That's
right,
one thing I'm not going to do.
right.
I'm not
So
messing with it.
while I can respect the principle of it. I just know what the Democratic I know what the swamp can do and how much they can sway. Because how much is Biden doing? Nothing. Everything's being done by his people, by
True,
the deep
but
state.
a Kennedy who had his father and uncle
Yeah.
killed, murdered, right? I
He did
think,
say
and
he's going to
he
close the border.
he is
He said he's going to
suspicious.
close the border. He said
Good.
that like in an interview. I heard him
Yeah, he probably
like
should. It's a
yesterday.
good idea.
He said, "I'm just going to close the border. It's like we're
Yeah.
not going to have anyone come in."
We're just, yeah, it's just done. I mean,
I'm like,
after
hey,
everything that's just
okay.
happened,
Well,
like, I
that'd
think
be
we
a
got to
good
do
consolation
something.
prize if we lost to him.
You know,
if I lost him, it'd be a good consolation prize to have at least that he's not.
if
that
it
he's
was
not
either
worth
Trump,
much,
DeSantis, I mean, honestly, if it was Trump or RFK, I'm not tripping. If it's DeSantis or RFK, like, I'm mostly not tripping. If it's Trump Biden, like, I'm watch out. Like, I don't know how I feel
that could
about
happen.
Biden, you know, but I think he's just running everything into the ground.
Biden is not.
He's
It's
not running the
a sham.
country.
It's such a sham. It's just like that senator guy, the guy that had the stroke or whatever. They can't talk.
Oh, Fetterman.
Fetterman.
God, I can't
Oh my
believe it.
gosh, he still does. Oh, he's asking his question to somebody. What up? Talking about this and words and don't make together. And then what do you think? What do you say about that? And the guy was just like trying to be like, what
It's
was the
interesting.
question?
I understood what he was like. I understood his point. It's just like you could have said that in 15 seconds and it took you a minute and a half.
And it was not. And it was not really clear the angle.
I understood it. I
the
understood his
gist.
angle. I understood the whole thing. It's just that it was very poorly said, and it took a minute and a half to
Can
say
you hear
it.
that?
Not really.
Darn it.
You're hoping so.
About this one.
Yeah, I could hear that one.
Okay.
That one works. All right, I think that can be the we can work on that being the end.
All right.
My final spiel is you made it this far, drop a like. If you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button, and if you're looking forward to the next one, then make sure to hit that bell. Thanks everybody. Take care.